we don't just kick the can down the road. We actually try to make a difference in people's lives. The face of homelessness has changed in this community from largely single men to women with children and entire families. It used to be that the homeless were considered derelicts in some respects. And to be sure, there are still those among that community that have various mental and chemical abuse and other psychosocial problems. But by and large, the individuals that we now serve are people who, through circumstances beyond their control, have found themselves homeless. Either the loss of a job or an illness that has drained the family's resources and caused them to lose their homes. The economy itself has been devastating to our citizens and caused many of them to find themselves homeless when they have worked all their lives. So in that regard, homelessness has changed. In terms of the service piece, we have gone from letting people shelter in place, and certainly that still goes on. There are still homeless camps and people who sleep under bridges or find other convenient non-physical homeless shelter places to stay. But our shelter system has become larger and more robust. We have begun to focus and are having great success in rapid rehousing, putting those who are easiest to place, like women with children, in permanent supportive housing, housing where there is case management attached. And we're even having a great deal of success, probably more than in many communities you could name, with rehousing the chronically homeless, those who have been in the streets or in the shelters for years and years and years. We've made a tremendous dent in that population as well. So as we have been able to target the delivery of homeless services to specific individuals and deal with them where they are and use sort of a housing first model, and then we deal with the social problems that we face. This community has had great success in lowering its homeless count. In my mind, the most pressing need to address homelessness as we go forward is to break down the silos between various organizations that are providing services to the homeless. It is not uncommon for one who needs services to have to run all over town to get them, and fill out a whole new set of eligibility papers at each stop along the way that they make in order to get homeless services. That's a barrier. We need to make the delivery and the receipt of homeless services as easy as possible. We need to remove the transportation barriers. We need to remove some of the eligibility barriers. We have been working for the past several years on a continuum of healthcare services for the homeless population. This is something that I believe is about to come to fruition in the next year or so. We've had great interest among the healthcare community about coming together to address in a holistic way the provision of healthcare services to that population, such that they will have a medical home just like everybody else. And that home, that medical home, will not be the emergency room at JPS or Harris or Plaza or some of the other hospitals in town who provide emergency services. Collaborations and partnerships are the key to success in delivering comprehensive services to the homeless population. They're the key to actualizing the goals of the Direction Home plan, which is to make homelessness a one-time short duration, non-recurring event in the lives of the citizens of our community. But no one person and no one organization can do that on his or her own. It takes a community effort, and it takes the focusing of the resources of many organizations in order to make that happen. When organizations collaborate, then there is a leveraging of not only human effort, but of monetary resources that is essential to providing a seamless and successful homeless care system. MHMR has been a key player in providing services to the homeless community, from its street outreach teams to its assistance in dealing with dual diagnosis, individuals who have dual diagnoses of various types, whether it be drug abuse and some mental health condition, or an array of other things. MHMR is often the gateway, and its services provide a level of triage in many respects to those who are seeking services. Not only does MHMR provide direct treatment and direct outreach, but many times it serves as the gatekeeper. And that is a tremendously valuable resource. There are not many organizations who have people in the streets looking for and recruiting homeless individuals into services. MHMR provides that function for this community. we have identified a tremendous need to provide a continuum of care, of medical services to the homeless community. Statistics would bear out the fact that those who live in one of the shelters along East Lancaster that has become known as the Community of Hope area use ambulance services, emergency room services to a much greater degree than the rest of the population. And that's because they have no medical home. There's no comprehensive medical services available to them in a convenient way. It used to be that John Peter Smith had a medical clinic 2 miles east on East Lancaster, co-located with the Salvation Army. You wouldn't think that 2 miles was a long ways, but when you're sick and you're walking, 2 miles can be a tremendous difference. So the community has determined, and by the community I mean this blue ribbon panel of healthcare and nonprofit service delivery organizations that has come together to design this healthcare for the homeless plan. This body has determined that comprehensive services should be available right there in the heart of the East Lancaster community, right amongst the shelters, and that those healthcare services can't just be medical in nature. There has to be an array of social services that go along with the medical in order to achieve the goal of stabilizing the physical and mental and social health of the homeless population, such that they can be rehoused. We need a full array of medical services, but we also need case management. We need mental health services. We need alcohol and drug addiction services. We need family reunification support. We need job training. We need an array of services to be co-located so that the needs of the homeless population can be addressed in one location with one set of eligibility and intake criteria, and cut through all of that red tape and get to the provision of services so that we can stabilize and rapidly rehouse those individuals. The plight of the homeless and others in our community who are looked upon as the least, the last, the lost. That is a mission that I adopted for my life long before I became commissioner. I came from a family where giving back was seen as a responsibility. And certainly there are many ways to give back. But addressing the plight of those in need comes from my family tradition. It comes from my faith tradition. I see my service on Commissioner's Court as sort of a Matthew 25 kind of a calling to feed the hungry, clothe the naked, provide shelter to those in need. That's my personal creed, my personal mission in life. And I'm not alone on the Commissioner's Court in thinking that those things are important. The way the Commissioner's Court typically operates is that each person picks out the area on which they want to focus. We've got some members who have chosen transportation, others who have chosen the judicial system, the courts and the jails. Everybody's got a specialty. I have become, by personal choice, the social services person on the court. And when someone comes to my office for help with a problem that they are facing, whether it is health care, or I can't pay my rent, or my utilities have been shut off, or I've got a son in jail who can't get his medication, or whatever it is. We don't ask in my office, well, do you live in Precinct 1? We just help. We serve. And nobody is allowed to leave my office without knowing and feeling that they are much closer to a solution to their problem than they were when they entered my front door. We don't just hand people off to other agencies. We don't just tell them, call this person at such and such an agency, make an appointment and talk to them about your problem. No. We stay in the relationship until the problem is resolved. If they need to go somewhere else, we make the call first and pre-qualify the situation to make sure that the person or the place where we're sending them is going to actually be able to help.